everybody. Welcome. Hello. I'm Bonnie. I'm going to be your guide today through the land of easy summer eats. We're working today with Dorot Gardens, which is making some amazing pre-portioned flash frozen herbs that we're going to gin up to make an absolutely gorgeous meal for all of your fabulous summer joy. So thanks for joining us today. And with me in the chat is Ms. Remy. What's up, Remy?
Hey everyone, it's me, Remy. So happy to be here.
So happy to be here. So we're going to knock out some gorgeous food today. I want to just have a gander. Just take a look around and see all the fresh, bright, fabulous things that we're working with today. But most importantly, I am doing my Dorot Gardens special little popped out gorgeousness. I did these ahead of time. This is going to be for the marinade for the salmon. And I did it ahead of time just so they could thaw. They only take about 5 minutes to thaw. So you pop this out, then get your fish ready, and then come back and work on your marinade. So what I have here today is some garlic. I have some basil. I have some parsley, and I have some cilantro. And you can mix up your herbs and do whatever makes you happy. This is a great combo, though. The garlic's going to give you a little bite, and then you have all this fresh character from these guys. I'm also going to use a little bit of red chili flakes, crushed red pepper sometimes called. I'm going to use some lemon, I'm going to use some salt, pepper, that kind of thing. So let's get this started. And questions as they come up, just throw them in there. Remy's going to throw them back to me, and we'll be able to chat about it. Or if you just want to tell me, like, what's your favorite summer eat? Like, what do you do in the summer to make your magic? I'm dying to hear about it. All right, so we're going to just pop these guys. So you see that I defrosted them just 2 minutes ago, and they're all ready to go. Beautiful, instant marinade. It's so great. So there's the mix there of all the flavors. I'm going to add in a good pinch of salt. This is how I'm actually going to be seasoning up the fish. So I'm going to do about a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to do a couple tablespoons of olive oil. That'll just help pull it together. And I don't need to worry too much about a big emulsion here. It's just going to be a nice marinade. Let's get some pepper going. Black pepper, white pepper, whatever makes you happy. I'm using black today. Nice bite. White's fun too. And then, of course, the magic of a piece of citrus. I'm going to use orange. And if you're going to, I know you've heard this 100 times, but if you're going to use citrus, zest it first, and then take that zest and use it for something. So I'm going to put it in the marinade today, but if for some random reason I didn't need it in the marinade, I would throw it into a bin of salt, or I'd pop it into some sugar, and then that would help hold the oils, and then I'd be able to use it later for something else. But most of the time, if you have a recipe that calls for lemon juice, you're not going to hurt it by adding the zest, because the zest is full of those beautiful essential oils that make the lemon taste amazing. So in we go. And I do it this way so I can kind of collect it, right, as opposed to having it fly all over the place. I like it this way because I can see what I'm doing. I'm only zesting over a spot on the lemon in one pull, so I don't go back over anything, and I don't dig into that bitter pith, because I don't really want that bitter pith. And then I got a beautifully zested lemon, and then all my zest is here. And I like it because I can see just how much I have. Have I ever not used all the zest? No, I've never not used all the zest. I just have to use it all. But here we go. And then you just top it in there. And if you want, you can run your finger along the inside there. Just the inside, though, because it's sharp. And then what you do is you rub that like into your cuticles, and then your fingers smell amazing. Usually I say that after I've been chopping garlic, but I didn't have to chop garlic because somebody else did for me. Our fine friends at Dorot Gardens were like, you know what, girl, we're going to chop that garlic for you. And I love that. Okay, so now I have, remember what's in here? 4 different seasonings. That's going to be your garlic, your parsley.
Hey, Chef Bonnie, could you move that pepper mill so we could see a little bit better?
Ooh,
yeah, perfect.
like
Thank
that?
you.
Yeah. Parsley, garlic, cilantro, basil. And now I'm going to add some juice from my lemon. And the juice from the lemon is going to do a couple things. It's going to brighten things up a little bit. It also counters the richness of the fish. So in with some lemon. Don't use too much. You might want to use like the whole lemon, but be careful. Keep an eye on your fish itself, because if you just have a small little piece of fish and you douse it in lemon, what are you going to get? Ceviche? That's a different class. We're going to talk about that some other time, but that's a great summer eat. But for today, I don't want to go crazy with that. All right, so do you see how I didn't really have to worry about creating an emulsion by like putting this in a blender or something? It's perfectly blended because it's chopped so finely. You see that? Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, so that's the marinade. If you want to quality control it, you can totally take a little bit and taste, just see how it is. Does it need more garlic? Does it need more salt? Do you want a little bit more lemon in there? And I'm gonna spice it up a little bit with some crushed chili flakes. Not a ton. Probably you could do like a half teaspoon, maybe a little more if you're feeling sassy. If you have people in your life who are like, please don't make my food hot, just put it on the side. It's perfectly fine to serve it on the side. Just an extra flavor. All right. So this can marinate for about, I'm gonna say 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to marinate for very long. If you look at this fish here, you see this guy? It's got the skin on. And see that gorgeous color? This is sockeye. This is Alaskan sockeye, wild fish. Get what you have. Get what's available at the fishmonger. Get what looks good. Keep in mind that sometimes the best fish that you're going to buy is frozen, especially if you're not in salmon season, for instance. So it's okay to buy frozen fish. They freeze it on the boat, so it's as fresh as it could possibly be. But, you know, when the fish is running, it's great to get fresh fish, too. But a lot of us don't live, like, on the Pacific Ocean or in Alaska. So it's nice to be able to have beautiful stuff that didn't have to, you know, degrade while flying across the country, for instance. All right, so here's my scrumptious marinade, and it's just all over everything. And use your hands, just get that all in there.
Hey, Chef Bonnie, what else do you think this marinade would be good for?
Oh my God, chicken. You could put it, I would do it as a sauce to put over a steak.
Ooh,
like
yeah.
endless options for this marinade. You could make a chimichurri with it, right?
Totally.
I mean, that's essentially what this guy is. It's just a really simple combination of great flavors. And if there's any one of those ingredients that you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I want cilantro because my friend says it tastes like soap, you know, you got to honor that, because for some people, they don't have the gene that makes cilantro taste good. They have the gene that makes cilantro taste terrible. So you have to trust them when they say, please don't make me eat cilantro. Even though you love it and you're like, come on, you got to eat cilantro, it's so good. But yeah, any protein. This would be great with any protein. It would be great with tofu too. Like if you take your tofu and press it so it's nice and dry, and then you cube it and toss this, you can do the exact same thing that we're doing. Or cut it into slabs, do that, and you can even sear it on the grill. So lots of options. All right, so the fish is gonna rest for 5-10 minutes. I wanna start talking about the salad, because we're gonna make a beautiful salad with all of these great ingredients that we got over here. So I have, let's see where I've got some feta. I have an English cucumber. And English or Persian is great because I love having the skin and not having to peel it. And the skin's nice and thin, so you can eat all of the skin, and it's delicious. And it's also bright and crunchy, and it looks great in the bowl, and it tastes great in your mouth. Gonna add a little bit of bite with red onion. Probably use about a third of this. This is a giant red onion. And then check out these tomatoes. Aren't they gorgeous? They're like on the vine, just stunning. Aren't they so pretty? I hate to even cut them, but we will. All right, so those are ingredients for this. And while we're working on the salad a little bit, I have this grill preheating. So it's fairly hot. You want to be able to sort of put the back side of your hand, which is very tender and thin skin, not obviously touching. But when you go here, it should feel hot. If you go like this, your fingers are not super sensitive to heat because they've touched hot things forever. So when you go like this, you don't feel much. But if you do this, you can really tell if it's hot. So I'm going to bump this up just a little bit. I want it to be quite hot so the fish doesn't stick when it hits it. All right, so that's preheating. Let's do a little knife skills. Should we do some knife action? All right. Can you see if I put this here? Okay, cool. All right. Got a team of experts here today. All right, so I'll do my onion first, and then I'll do other things so that my hands don't smell like onions. It's quite so much. So I'm probably thinking I'm going to use about this much. I don't need a ton of onion. It's really just to add a little bit of extra character. And onions, red onions are great because they have so much flavor. And they're a little bit on the sweet side, so they're nice raw.
Chef, how would this compare to something like a shallot?
Shallots are very savory. They're not a super sweet onion. They're really, they're lush almost. Shallots really love to be cooked so that a lot of that dimension comes out. I don't usually do raw shallots too much anywhere except with oysters in like in a mignonette, but that's a tiny little thing. And they have a lot of bang for their buck, so they really deliver. All right, so let's do some of these guys. I'm going to say not super, it doesn't have to be finely minced. You're just trying to get a nice little range. You want to bite. You don't have to make all your pieces the same size for this lovely salad. It's completely cool if it's just, about the same size. And if anything doesn't look good, you just come back and show it who's boss with your knife, right? So yeah, you're looking for something about like that. And if you're wondering how spicy these are, your eyes will usually tell you pretty fast. Also, your nose, you can smell them. And if you're unsure, you can have a little taste too and just see what's going on with your onion. These are good, I can tell because my eyes are starting to water. But they're nice and fresh. And also, the sharper your knife, the less you're going to cry. So make sure your knives are sharp. Because if your knife's not sharp, then you're just crushing your onion. And if you crush your onion, you'll release more of the liquid that's inside those cells. So there's some nice onion to get us started.
How often do you think you're sharpening your knife?
Well, you should hone your knife every time you pick it up.
Whoa.
Because that way the sharpening lasts longer. So you just run it through, across your steel, or if you're using a pull through or whatever. If you just give it a quick hone every time you pick it up, then your knives will always be pretty sharp. And then eventually they're going to get to the point where they're sort of sad. And when they get sad, you can take them someplace and get them sharpened, or you can learn how to use a whetstone or whatever your preference is. Most of the grocery stores in town, or your local butcher, they sharpen their knives all the time, and sometimes they have somebody who comes in once a week. So you can also ask around and just say, hey, who keeps your knives sharp if you're wanting to not do it yourself. And that's kind of nice too. You can just be like, oh good, like John the guy with the van is going to come up and sharpen all the knives at the local butcher tomorrow. So we're going to take our knives down there and he'll knock those out too. I'm trying to learn how to always do my own knives, which is funny because I don't really want to, but it's good to do. All right, so cucumber. Now, you do not have to take the seeds out of a Persian or a English or hothouse cucumber. It's not necessary, but I like to take them out because I feel like it gets a little watery if I don't. So what I do is I got my guys and I cut them in half lengthwise. I'm just going to take a little spoon and I'm going to pull really gently. I'm just getting rid of that big seed pod because it's pretty wet. And I don't want all that extra liquid in my salad. I just want nice, flavorful, crunchy goodness. And don't go too deep. You're not trying to lose a bunch of the flesh of the cucumber. You just want to get rid of the bulk of the liquidy stuff. And then I drop it into a sieve, and then I pour that into my my water, my summer cocktail, whatever's going on, School just got out for summer here, so we're all thinking about our summer patio days and all that magic. All right, so then just about, close to the size of those. Maybe they're a little bit bigger, that's fine. I want something bite-sized though. So I just cue these all up. Just draw your knife right through there. All right, I can smell my grill, so I'm going to finish trimming these, and then we'll switch over to the salmon. So the salmon's been sitting for, I don't know, 8 or 9 minutes, something like that. Not long. Fish doesn't need a ton of time. And remember, you're not trying to cure it. You don't want to turn it into ceviche. So I'm going to put this ready to go. I'm just going to do my thing, right? Hot, hot, good. Okay. You can use tongs if you want to. I prefer to use my hands and just have a wet cloth handy or something, just so I don't accidentally drop them, because they're a little slippery because they have olive oil on them. Oh, let's do a little quick grill treatment actually first. So if you put a little bit of oil on your grill right before you're ready to go, you're going to get a little bit of smoke because it's hot. You could use grapeseed oil too if you want. I'm just going to use olive oil because it's handy. But what this is going to do is help the fish to just cook evenly and not stick to the grill. Because have you had your fish stick to the grill? So sad. You're just heartbroken. You marinated it, you spent all this time on it, and then it's stuck. What? All right. See that? Okay. All right. So you're going to go skin side down. Ah, you're going to hear that nice sizzle. I'm not patting these dry or anything. I'm not going to have them on here so long that there's going to be like burnt chunks of anything. And the nice herb mix is so tiny that I don't worry about having a bunch of like burnt chunks of garlic, on my grill, which I love. All right. Now, once your marinade's been used for marinating the fish, that's over. Let it go. I know you're like, oh, look at all that extra, I want to save it, but don't save it. It's been sitting with raw fish, so just leave it be. Because we're going to make more for the dressing, so you'll be good to go. Okay, so if I'm working on a grill at home or a grill pan, I still want to try and cover it for a minute just to give the fish a chance to get cooked all around. So I don't have any kind of fancy cover for this. I'm just going to lay this pan on top. I'm not even going to try and cover it all the way. I just want to give it a little shot. Now I'm going to turn it down a skosh. Once it hits, the first thing that's going to happen is the skin is going to shrink back. Like if you touch something hot, you go, like that. So the fish does the same thing, goes like this, and it pulls itself up off of the hot grill. And then you can kind of take it down a notch and let it just cook. And remember, grills are just outdoor ovens. So when you want to make it into an oven, you just close it and all that nice heat fills in that space, and it's a great way to have it all cook from all directions instead of just from underneath. Okay, so we're going to let that go for, I don't know, ping me in like 3 minutes if I miss my time.
Coffee shop?
All right, back to these guys. Also, aren't these pretty? You could just stick these like in a little, like a little cup, and then have some dip, and people can like, and you don't have like drippy seeds all over the place. And then you got your water here that's left over, and that's cool too. You put that in your, whoop. So good. You could also throw some in your dressing too if you needed it. All right. So then make these as big or small as you like. Super chunky or a little slimmer is fine. I would say when you're cutting, though, make sure you're only cutting a few at a time. You're much less efficient with your knife if you have a big pile of stuff. If you just have a few little things, it's just way easier to move your knife. So it's a little weird, but the less you cut at the same time, the more efficient you're going to be and the faster it's going to happen. All right, I'm going to check on this because I can smell it already. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Ooh. You do not have to have a fish spatula, but they are cool. They're designed specifically for this. So when I'm looking at my fish right now, I'm just checking to see if I have anything that's lifting up. And this little tiny piece right here, he's kind of getting close. So I'm just going to tuck my spatula under and just see if it's starting to release a little bit. Needs another minute or so, but it's pretty close because it's such a tiny piece. Oh, I hope you don't stick because you're down here at the bottom. We'll see. Sockeye it doesn't have very much fat in it, so you really have to rely on that skin to help you out. Ooh, it smells so good. Oh. I think I'm going to let it sit for another minute instead of fussing with it. What a good idea. Leave it alone. All right. Let's come back to that in a minute and see how we do. All right. So did anybody talk about the things that they're going to cook this summer?
You know what? Yes, Karina told me about grilled zucchini.
Grilled zucchini?
With a whipped feta.
Oh.
So that sounds amazing.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ooh,
whipped
watermelon
feta.
gazpacho?
Oh yeah. I loved whipped feta in the summer because you can put all grilled things on it.
So true.
Like spring onions, zucchini, like all the veggies are so good, especially with that char. The creaminess of the feta and the char together are just magic. All right. So you're starting to get your salad together. Shoop. All right. Let's check on these guys again, just see if we got any release. Come on, baby. Ugh. I'm gonna have to turn this just so I can see it.
How's it looking, Chef?
It's looking good, but I will say my grill pan and I don't know each other very well, so we're still trying to figure out how to work together. Come on, baby. It smells amazing. I'm just getting a face full of herbaceousness.
I know, I can smell it from
Can
here
you?
too. I'm so excited for after class.
Yeah. Oh, come on. I will say, when you do this at home, you know your own gear. Woo! So I think you're going to do a little bit better than me with a grill pan that I've never used before, but things are just starting to kick back off of here, which is great. So you got some nice grill marks there. This one is just very fussy. The tiny little tail pieces have almost no fat in them, so they're a little bit tricky to maneuver. I'm just going to cheat it a little and toss it over. It's just got to get finished. Sometimes when I make this salad, what I like to do is just flake the fish right into the salad instead of serving it on the side. And that's a really nice way to get the fish in there without having to worry about presentation of perfect fish. Also, it's great for travel. Like, it's really good in a picnic salad.
Got a question for you if you're ready.
What's that?
I have a question for you.
I'm listening.
Could you cook the salmon all the way through without flipping?
You could, but it still has to release from the grill. So if you leave it on too long, it'll just be stuck there forever. And that's why I'm working a little bit to get it off of there.
Totally.
Which I'm not doing a great job, just in full disclosure.
Live TV, baby.
What's that?
Live TV.
Live, baby. Homemade live. Come on, baby. Yeah. It's funny, this one's gonna have to, you're gonna have to let it go, my boo. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you for your support.
Have you ever cooked on a cedar plank, Chef Bonny?
Say that again?
Have you ever cooked on a cedar plank?
Oh, sure. Yeah, cedar's great because you don't have to do anything. There's no flipping. You just do your magic and go with it. Also, at this point, I'm turning these all off because these are basically going to finish cooking with just the residual heat on this crazy grill pan. That is so pretty. I love the way it looks, but, and I love getting some nice grill marks on here, but this guy is definitely not my buddy right this second. Oh, I'm just gonna, there we go. Okay, these are gonna be done in like 2 minutes. And I have it, it's not on right now. It'll cool down in a minute, but this is a cast iron guy, so it's gonna hold the heat and finish cooking those things. Cedar planks are great. Yeah, they're beautiful, they're easy, they're chill. They make everything absolutely beautiful. The flavor's amazing. And it's an elegant way to cook a whole fillet. Because you just finish cooking it and then you pick it up and you put it down on the table in front of people and they just flake off all their magic. Very cool. All right, you don't have to buy your tomatoes on the vine, but it's so pretty. These I'm just gonna cut in half. Get them going in there. And then I'm gonna toss this all together and then we'll throw our marinade together and we'll be golden. It's quiet out there today.
It is. I was going to ask, Chef, I came up with a little this or that game. Would you like to play?
Oh, no. Okay. All right, tell me more.
Okay, it's summer edition.
Summer edition.
Okay.
Great.
You have only one grill tool.
You have only one grill tool.
One grill tool.
Okay.
Spatula or tongs? And I want everyone in the chat to answer too.
All right, are you asking me?
Yes.
Tongs, because you can use them like a spatula.
Okay,
if you
love
have
it.
to.
Charcoal or gas grill?
Charcoal for flavor, gas for ease. Gas
So
for
true.
lickety-split.
Okay, what about sunset picnic or poolside party?
Sunset picnic, I'm going to say. All right, I really want all this goodness. I'm just going to scoop this up and get it in there. Yeah, what else?
Okay, my last one is cornhole or badminton?
Badminton.
Yeah.
Badminton. So elegant. Like from another era or something. All right, so salmon skin is one of my favorite things in the world, so everyone who knows me is like horrified that I have stuck salmon skin because they know that I just want to eat it all. But it's all crispy and great, so I'm just going to chop it up and put it into the salad because I don't want to miss that yummy, oily flavor. So it's nice and crispy. It just, some of it came off the skin because of my imperfection with my grill. All right. So I'm gonna let this just rest for just a minute. Doesn't need much time, but it'll give us time to finish this off. All right, let's make this marinade. What are we doing? We'll do basically the same kind of mix that we did before. I'm gonna use cilantro, I'm gonna use parsley, I'm gonna use basil. And the reason I am omitting the garlic is just because I don't need any extra zing because I have these onions in here. So I'm not going for an extra zingy thing. You can do this separately ahead of time, get it all seasoned up. I'm just gonna throw it in here and knock it out because I know what I want. And if I taste it and it needs more love, I'll change it up. So when you do these, you're just gonna peel off the top layer. And then there's an interior clear layer. Don't take that off. You're just gonna pop right through. So I'm just gonna do a little boop. So there's a pop. And for this, I'm gonna use 5 of each. So that's 5 little basil cubes. Flying in the parsley. See how easy that is? It just pops right out.
It's so satisfying.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I feel like a kid. Like, oh, pop. drop. Done. There we go. All right, 5 of each of those. Oops, did I miss that guy? Do keep these in the freezer though. They don't want to defrost and then cool back down again. Just pop them out when you need them and then walk away. All right, so I have this little salmon skin here. I'm going to chop this up. We'll put this on top as like a little garnish. Since it decided to leave the fish, we're not going to let it leave us though. All right, let's get a few more tomatoes in here and just get this started. And then what do you need? You need salt. Not a huge amount because you're going to be adding feta, but definitely get some in there. Maybe like a teaspoon or so, half teaspoon to start. If you're a measuring type, get that in there. And once you start salting those cucumbers, they're going to release a bunch of liquid, even though the seeds are gone. Same thing with the tomatoes. And then let's get a little bit of lemon in there. I don't know, do you make sound effects when you do your food additions? I'm definitely a sound effect person, like shoop. All right. All right. So those are going to mix and mingle for a minute. And then let's do the rest of these tomatoes. If you don't know if you have people who can't tolerate dairy or something, you're welcome to do the feta on the side and just let people have at it if they want it.
You seem like the best host, Bonnie. You seem like the best host.
You know, I used to teach a lot of in-person cooking classes, and every class there would be exceptions. Like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm allergic to this, I just don't like that, you know. So we would always talk about accommodations. And it's just a nice way to let your guests know you're paying attention. I mean, don't make yourself crazy about it, but, you know, if you know for a fact somebody can't tolerate gluten or they can't do dairy, it's so easy to work around.
Totally.
And then how great do you feel if you go somewhere and someone has noticed, you know, and thought about you and thought about what works for you? It is a great feeling. And I think we all need those wonderful in-person gatherings
Totally
where we
agree.
just share food and fun and joy.
I think that's honestly my favorite part about summer is just getting together with
Yes.
people. Like after the winter, like hiding, and now we're out in the summer and we're having barbecues and it's just easier.
It just lends itself to joy. A little bit olive oil. And especially for anybody who lives in a colder climate, I mean, you're just necessarily indoors a lot. Oh my gosh. What you can't do is smell this right now, and it's, I'm getting like this face full of herbs as the herbs start to melt into the dish. Oh my gosh. And like I said, totally make the dressing on the side if you want, and then you can reserve some of it and put it on as a garnish, but I just threw it all in there because that's one less dish to deal with, right? All right, what else you got for me?
I have one question. Crumbled feta or chunky feta?
Great question. I prefer the block of feta and brine so that I can crumble it up myself. I don't know if you can see this guy.
Is there a big difference?
The dry feta is very, very dry, which is great for some applications, I guess, but I just feel like the crumbled feta, first of all, it lasts forever in your fridge because it's contained in a salty brine, and so you don't, I'm talking an expiration date of months down the line. And it also is much creamier when it's contained in the brine. It doesn't get dried out. And I like that creaminess because when you mix it into a salad, it becomes part of the dressing. If you don't mix it into the salad, it's just this lovely thing that you can put on top. So I prefer it block in brine, but sometimes it's hard to find. You know, sometimes you won't find that at the grocery store. They'll have it in the special cheese section where they have like the really nice cheeses. That's where they're going to have them. And also, feta is a funny one. Feta is generally going to be a sheep's milk cheese from grease. But we have domestic feta makers now too, and sometimes there's a mix of milks. It can be goat and sheep. You know, there's a lot of conversation about what it should be. But I would say Greek or Israeli feta is going to be probably your best bet, and in brine is where I would go for. That's a long answer to the question.
I think that's an awesome answer. Thank you, chef.
I love feta is the bottom line. Whipped, crumbled, whole, you know.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and the sturdier feta people even grill sometimes, which is just crazy. A little grilled feta action.
Yum.
Yeah. The one other ingredient that I'm going to add to this is this spice called sumac. So sumac is a Mediterranean spice. It is, it's a little bit acidic. It has a little bit of brightness to it. It's a reddish color, so it'll change the color of things. But it definitely has an acid flavor to it. And the interesting thing about sumac is it's really the original Mediterranean spice. So back in the day, pre-Middle Ages, for instance, we associate, I feel like, Italy with lots of citrus, especially lemons, like those big, lush Amalfi lemons. But those didn't exist prior to the Middle Ages. So sumac was the herb that was around and about, and sumac has this incredible citrusy flavor. So that was really what got used to season all kinds of dishes. All the sort of famous dishes that we think about that are loaded with lemon, they were loaded with sumac. So they had these beautiful bright red color to them, and they had this nice citrusy flavor. And then the citrus trees got imported from Asia, and it changed the world, you know, when people started moving things around like that. So I'm gonna get, I don't know, maybe half teaspoon to a teaspoon in there, depending. Taste your sumac. It doesn't last forever. That's one of those spices that's gonna lose its character pretty fast. So once you open it, just throw it on everything. It's really nice with grilled things. It's not smoked. Even though it might look a little smoky, it's not actually smoky. So don't count on it for adding a smoky flavor. Count on it for adding a citrusy flavor. All right, so do you see the mixing and mingling magic that's happening here? Look at how pretty that is. So all my cubes are broken down. That was lickety-split, like instant. How much herb chopping did I have to do for this meal?
Oh my God.
None. I will say it takes a 20-minute meal into the 40 to 50-minute meal land if you have to chop a whole thing of parsley, a whole thing of cilantro, a whole thing of basil. I did do that. I made this recipe with just chopped herbs just to see, like compare and contrast. And there was virtually no difference in my flavor, but a whole lot of difference in how much time I had to spend doing it. So I feel like, okay, I get that. All right, so I would say at this point, give yourself a little taste. Make sure your seasoning's good, because this is what is really enhancing the whole dish. So when you get your, you know, you don't have to taste every ingredient, but this is what's on your plate. So you've got the beautiful tomatoes, you've got the celery, you've got the onion for a little bite, and then all of those herbs. So every single bite is just full of herbs. I'm just gonna get a little taste so I can get a sense of my seasoning. Oh my God. Okay, everything's fine. Don't panic. It's all good. All right, so this is a great picnic salad. You can take this to a picnic and have it sit out for a couple of hours. It's totally great. You can have your feta on the side in an ice container or cooler or whatever, but feta lasts a long time too because it's brined. So it's not like it's gonna go bad in 15 minutes like mayonnaise. The other thing is there's no big leaves in here, so there's nothing to wilt. So this salad holds up for days. Do I stand in front of my refrigerator eating this salad out of a container? Yes, I do. But you can also take it places, which is great. So like I said, picnic salad, I'd do this. I'd take my fish and I'd flake it in here, and then I would just have that be the salad, unless I had people who didn't eat fish, or whatever your protein is. And then the feta can just go right in the salad. That's totally fine. So when you do your feta, here's your chunk of feta, right? And it's you can almost tell how creamy it is. When I go to break it apart, it's breaking, but it's not really flaking and falling apart particularly. So I'm gonna take some of my feta and I'm gonna put it right into the salad. And crumbling it yourself is not hard. When you buy crumbled feta, you have paid someone to crumble your feta for you and make it dry.
That's so funny. I literally, in my brain, I'm like, yep, that's an easier step, so
Yeah.
I don't have to do that.
Yeah,
And,
it's true. But since we used the Dorot package of beautiful herbs, I feel like we got a buy on ease.
So
And it was
true.
very challenging for me to do that feta, but I did it, you know. Okay, so there we go. Just a little bit in there makes it just a little bit creamy. Okay, so let's talk about putting this together so it looks great. I love a party platter, so I have one. So I'm just gonna take my salad, and if you want it to be really, it's an elegant dinner party, you've got all the candles, and it's outside, and it's just gorgeous, individually plate it for sure. But it's really fun to just put a platter of goodness on the table, and then everybody passes the platter, and they're sharing all their, you know, that moment when you take a platter and hand it to somebody else. You know, you look them in the eyes, and you're like, oh, here, enjoy. And everybody's smiling. It's just good. Good, good, good. But if you got picky eaters, people who don't do X, Y, and Z, set it out on separate platters, too. That's perfectly fine. I hope you can see how luscious this is. It is so green and gorgeous and aromatic, like I can smell basil in my face right now. It's sort of like we were talking about the fish earlier, how sometimes the freshest fish is frozen. You know, they pull it up out of the water and they clean it and they immediately flash freeze it. So the fish is incredibly fresh. It's the same thing with these cubes, right? Because at certain times of year, you're just not going to find good basil that didn't have to travel, you know, thousands of miles to get to you. But if they pack it up and freeze it for you right at the farm, that's pretty great, because then it's going to just be in your face basil gorgeousness. All right, so this would be good just on its own as a meal item. I'm going to take my fish, and I'm just going to lay it, nestle it, do a little nestling. And this is not about perfection. This is about jaunty, you know, like cuteness. And then I'm going to take the rest of my feta, and I'm going to crumble some on top. Especially if, like, say, I don't know, your grill pan wasn't cooperating. Maybe you just, you know, add a little cover. See that? Oh, what are you talking about? That looks amazing. And then I am going to take, because a little bit of yummy, crispy salmon skin is not going to be a problem for those of us who love salmon, right? There was a while when my daughter was little that she just wanted salmon skin. She wasn't interested in salmon, but give her some salmon skin and she was good to go. All right. Yeah, here.
Ta-da!
Can you see that? Isn't that pretty? Like, you put this down on a table, the candles are flickering, people are looking longingly into each other's eyes. It's like a good thing. All right, so we should probably just quality control this, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so if I take, you can do whatever serving. I like to get the same story, right, if you're going to be putting it on a plate. Like, do a little seductive slant, you know, like, there you go. Isn't that pretty? And you can take some of the liquid that's down in here and just do a little drizzle. Because, I don't know, I love a little dot on my plate. I don't know why that just looks fun, doesn't it? Not over the top. Don't go tweezer on yourself, but you know what I mean. All right, so here, let's put this guy here. Yeah. So then, like, give that to somebody. Right? Can you see it? There you go. Should I try it? I really want to try it. Okay. All right. So what do we got here? We have fresh veggies, beautiful, bright, fresh herbs, some lush salmon. The The fish and the cheese are creamy. The vegetables are crunchy, but not in your face. Not too much onion. And it's just a face full of herbs, like a pop of herbs, like complementing all of it. This is a great dish. I love it. I want you to go forth and make this at home. Take it to a picnic. Take it to a friend's house. Invite everybody over so you can just knock their socks off with the easiest dinner that you've ever made, and then enjoy your summer. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Aw, well, thanks so much for being here, you all. I don't know what's next, class-wise.
Yes, we have class next Monday, a no-bake mango royale. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
I'll throw that in the chat.
Okay, cool. Thank you all so much for being here. Go forth and cook.
Bye, everyone.